Welcome, Leo, to your Leo October 2021 reading and forecast. It's great to see you again, and I hope that you're doing well. Welcome back to the subscribers. Much love and affection to you always. Now, I don't normally say this because I understand that you're intelligent enough to already be familiar with how the YouTube algorithm works. But if you do happen to like the reading, please smash the like button and share it with your friends. And if you're here for the first time, consider subscribing. You'll be so glad that you did. Now, this is a deck that I'm going to use. By the way, if you would like to have, as so many Leos have done, have a private reading with me, just check out the information that's in the description box below. It's really simple. Now, let's take 5 cards, shall we, and see what there is in store for you this month. Now, this is a deck that you won't normally see anywhere. I haven't seen it anywhere on the YouTube readings. Sometimes I look at this, Temperance. Sometimes I look at, if I've got nothing to do, I'll hang around and look at a bunch of different readers. All of them are good, I think. There's Temperance and Justice. Extremely interesting. You've got some things going on, I think, for you internally during this month, but I'm not going to give anything away just yet. I want to see what the other cards are that come for their death. I thought that would be the case. Let's see the final 2 cards, shall we? The artwork on this is actually quite beguiling. There's the 9 of Swords, as beguiling just like yourself, really. Well, certainly the Leo woman is beguiling, just breathtakingly beautiful, as the usual rule, in my experience. My limited experience, I hasten to add. And let me see, what is the final card that's here? Don't be concerned about that 9 of Swords because it's sitting in a very good position with a bunch of other cards that are here around it. And there's Judgment. My goodness, what a very fascinating month this is for you. So let's get right into this, shall we, and see what it has to say for you. We'll come down, sit down here next to me as usual. We'll have a close look at the cards together while I do the reading for you. There now, I think you can see these cards. Let's have a look at the Lady Temperance first, shall we? Now, this is a very conversational spread for you, I think, this month. This is a reading where the cards want to talk to you and impart messages to you. Temperance walks through this world, blessing those in her wake with the promise of harmonious existence. Those who follow in her footsteps often find their place in the world and come to a greater understanding of their own nature. This knowledge can lead to a rich and fulfilling life. However, if you follow Temperance and do not make the mistake of equating passivity with harmony, true union is a product of give and of take. Those who are sitting idle in the name of peace often find themselves the first to have their backs against the wall. Do you know what I mean by that? This is a particularly auspicious astrology for you with Temperance in this position here, because it is Jupiter in Sagittarius with Dragon's Head, or Rahu, the north node of the moon, exalted. I think what we're talking about here for you is the unification of opposites during this time, of balance and inner change. There's a transformation. I think it's quite possible that you'll be taking a quantum leap with respect to something that you're working upon, because your powers of creativity are going to be at their highest. There is realization coming here, action based on an accurate assessment of the situation at hand. And I think you may well be economizing in things that you do, both financially, which is unusual for you, I think, isn't it? And also working very efficiently. I think that you'll find great, I think an escape from something. It's almost as if you get away with something, or you get out of having to do something that you don't want to do. That can be interesting, can't it? And certainly I think that you will find that you do have and arrive at a success after what have been, I think, quite elaborate, complicated dealings up to that point. Now, really, I think what's happening is that you are learning to bring about balance and moderation in your life. Be patient at this time and let things evolve at their natural pace. Do some self-evaluation to re-examine your life's priorities. Work in harmony from a place of stability and strength within you. I think that this is saying that this is on reintegration. This energy can reflect a period of balance between your inner and outer self, searching for higher meaning and purpose in life. You might experience during this time a clash between your habits and your new vision, but just trust your inner self, because this energy is a challenge to look inward. In this phase of integrating opposites, the transformation process will not tolerate any further impulses or pushes from the outside. Look inside you, just as the way a miner digs deep into the earth to find a diamond. Look inside yourself to find the hidden stone, the diamond. You must look within. What does it mean for you now to find your hidden diamond? Do you know what you should do? You should close your eyes and visualize a fountain of energy in your body. Bathe a while in this rejuvenating current and say to yourself, I equally value the light and dark within my own nature. I am a well-integrated person. I surrender to the transforming powers of the divine. I am an open channel for creative energy. Well, there's another, actually it looks like there's ladies everywhere here today, with the exception of the death figure, although that even may, well, death is neither male nor female. But let's have a look at, see what this card has to say for you. This is very interesting, isn't it? It is justice. I like the way that justice is depicted in this card. Do you know, though there may be times when the night seems never-ending, you know that justice will always bring about the dawn. She tends the scales which balance the universe. Her sword stands ever at the ready to slash away that which causes disruptions in equilibrium. And that's a wonderful thing for you at this time. Now, in this task, she is impartial, she is swift, and she is unyielding. Justice knows that there can be no good without the bad. In balancing the scales, she is likely to temper both success and failure. It would be wise to remember this when you find yourself the possessor of too much of a good thing. This is, I would say, Venus ruling Libra with Saturn exalted. Now, Libra emphasizes that the energy of this card is all about balance and equilibrium. I think there's also a great degree of karmic cause and effect here. And bringing a situation, you're going to bring a situation into balance. This is also about self-control, I think. Now, I call her the daughter of the Lords of Truth, the ruler of the balance. There is here centering, equilibrium, and like this card here, temperance, there's also the balancing of opposites and justice. Suspension of action pending a decision is what I see for you. You standing back and doing a list of pros and cons about what might be the most appropriate course of action to take. But I don't think you're going to have analysis paralysis. I think you will come to a decision. You'll really make your mind up, and when you make your mind up, you're going to go right into it. Now, this card can also at times refer to lawsuits. Marriages and partnerships are at play here, finding balances, and I think it's also a time for you again, and I'm saying this to make sure that your financial affairs are in balance. It's very difficult for Leo to do that, very difficult. Now, the predominant color here to me is blue. Blue, it is the color of spiritual and intellectual powers such as thinking, ideas, wisdom. The powers of thought are directed toward and put into contact with the earth, and they all serve her and her purpose in your life. This energy here really is a summons to you to avoid all extremes in your daily life at the moment. Now, this may refer to emotional disturbances in relationships, or at work, in some creative activity, or in dealing with money. Total centeredness and inner balance are needed if the great new ideas arising now are to bear fruit. From a position of balance, everything develops in a balanced way, in its place, given its appropriate value. Do you know the storms of life throw us out of balance again and again? The constant change between being centered and uncentered is the process which teaches you to be more conscious from moment to moment in order to retain that inner peace and clarity when you find it. So I think you're going to be taking stock of your life to see what is useful and what should be let go. You'll be thinking clearly about life ahead, and you'll be aware that all actions have consequences. You'll be getting a clearer vision of possibilities and choices ahead of you, and applying your insights that you have gained so far in order, at this time of the year, to lead a balanced life. It is about discovering and then following your true path and what gives it the most meaning in your life. Pay attention to what situations in your daily life tend to throw you off balance. Discover the conditions under which you find harmony again. Carry this quality with you more and more as you move through your daily activities. What helps you reach your meditative center? And to stay there, what happens when you lose your center? Say this to yourself: I am balanced and centered. I honor my word. I value being truthful, even in difficult situations. The abundance and beauty of nature is a reflection of my own nature. I am at rest in my own center, regardless of what else is going on in the world around me. Now I feel compelled to look at this card down here, which actually, is it an angel? Are those angel wings on there, or do they form part of the landscape in your mind? I haven't made my mind up yet about this. I just think it's a beautiful, simple. This is a great energy for you to have now. Judgment. The end always passes judgment on what has gone before it, doesn't it? Do you know, there can be no choice without consequence, as we were talking about just before. After a lifetime of choices, we often find ourselves burdened by the memories of past decisions, don't we? And we do that now. It is the province of judgment of this energy here to examine the consequences and to lay them to rest. With a quick flash of the sword, she dashes away the past, not to make you forget, but rather to allow you to accept what has gone before, so that you may look to what lies ahead. And this is particularly important when I get to this card on this Nine of Swords, which happens to be on the same line. Well, we'll look at it here now. There's a Nine of Swords here, which is coming up, and this woman is major arcana, and so she's having that great impact on that. We'll see what that has to say in just a moment. Now let me get my train of thought again here. There may be, I suppose, many who refuse to accept the consequences of their actions, and so they cannot let go of the past. They carry their decisions around like an albatross hung around the neck. You must learn to make peace with your past, or you will lose any chance to live in the present. Now, she is for me the spirit of primal fire. I suppose if I was to have any astrology associated with it, I don't have a constellation, but I do have the planet of Pluto associated with it here. She is saying to you that there is a decision which you are going to make, which is going to have a major impact on your life. This could well be, or you're going to put in place the groundwork for coming to or arriving at a decision which has a major impact on your life, such as a lifestyle or a career. And I have to tell you that these are very positive, the outcome of this decision, and this was being spoken of before with Temperance. You're coming in, stepping back to look at the pros and cons of situation. This is a time for you to move on after seeing the bigger picture. You stand back and see the big picture. Take time out to see the big picture. It is really for you a natural period of growth and shedding of things and people who really no longer serve you. You'll be highly discriminating or discerning during this period, and you'll have a critical self-analysis. But the important thing is with the critical self-analysis to do it in a positive way, and I have in mind this card down here, which I'll probably talk about next. Closure, resolution, definitive action. These are things that you have here. I think you'll be a very gifted critic. You'll have a great ability to speak from intuition and first-hand experience. Now, this is a very high fertility energy that I'm getting around here. It's an energy also which is very good for families. And it's an energy which also enables the combination of family and work. So if you're concerned about having a family and whether or not you're going to be able to manage work or how you're going to integrate the two together, they are going to work out. You might be considering starting or know someone who is considering starting or adding to a family and worrying about how to juggle work, career, and family together. Do you know, all-encompassing insight cannot be achieved solely through the intellect. Body, spirit, and soul, they're all drawn into the process of forming a judgment. And during this process, you will instinctively move towards that which will support your blossoming and move away from that which will offer no help. So you are being challenged to drop your worm's eye view to see things from a higher plane. When you have recognized greater time spans and other contexts, which you are increasingly ready to do, by the way, You will then tend more and more to observe things in their beingness, to see free from evaluations. Now, I suppose you might ask yourself, and you should ask yourself, which methods will you use to gain deeper insight and greater wisdom? And say this to yourself: I observe people and situations objectively and fairly. I value the combination of my qualities and characteristics. I honor the unlimited well of creativity within me to express in family and work settings. God is the unknown, the mysterious. The more I know that I don't know, the closer I am to the divine. Well, we were talking about the Nine of Swords, weren't we? So why don't we have a look at it and see what it has to say to you? What do you have to say to my friend here? Nine of Swords. Well, here we see. What's important about this is the dawn that's coming up here. People sitting there in solitude, probably cold, thinking that things will never be the same again, and yet there is the dawn coming up, the harbinger of the new. Now, this is Mars ruling the second decan of Gemini, which is about the 1st to the 11th of June. Look, Mars is numerologically in the nine, I have an association with the moon. That is very much the feminine principle. So there is in some degree a receptiveness, a passivity that's associated with there. And that doesn't help ward off Mars in Gemini, that very aggressive, warlike, warrior-like, and in this case, in its lowest form, very one-pointed, almost cruel sense of energy that it brings about. And that one-pointed nature of Mars does not sit well with the scattered energy of Gemini. Gemini doesn't actually have any particular object in mind. You know, if you go on my playlist and look at astrology for beginners and look at what the symbol for Gemini means, I discuss in there that Gemini it doesn't have anything involved. It's just an explosion of energy in all directions. It scatters in all directions to fill out the universe. And so that scattered energy does not resist the one-pointed, very focused, warrior-like nature. Excuse me. Just bashed my head on that when I was trying to look to see what this card might tell me. It's not really a professional operation, this, is it? Well, if you know any Geminis who happen to have Mars in their chart, well, you know that they're able to get fired up, and they use words as their weapons, and they can use words as weapons of cruelty. Now, you can also do this to yourself, and these other cards that were here were talking about critical self-analysis, but in a way where you don't put yourself down. Do you know your Achilles heel better than anybody else? Achilles in the Greek mythology was that great hero whose mother while he was a baby, decided to make him impervious to being killed by swords or arrows or spears. And so she took him into the underworld where the river Styx would flow. And that river, she held him by the heel and dipped him into the water of the river Styx and then pulled him out. Now he then, as a result, became impervious and unable to be injured or killed by spears, arrows, or swords, except in one place, his heel, where the mother had held him, and her fingers and hand had stopped the waters from touching the heel, and that was his weak point. And you know your Achilles heel better than anybody else, don't you? You really do. You can use words against yourself sometimes and ruminate on things almost at the point of mental exhaustion, I think, here. You can be cruel to yourself, accuse yourself of things, punish yourself, and have a heartless fanaticism, passion, almost taking a revenge against yourself, to which you offer only passive resistance, even a sort of a martyrdom. Well, this isn't meant for you at this time. This is not here. This can mean that you have feelings of guilt and regret, from which you then turn the energies of those things in and upon yourself. The energy of this card here is telling me that you have the danger and up until now, that is, because now you'll have the ability to step back to see the bigger picture, as this energy was telling you about. But this points out a tendency, a trap, where you put yourself down cruelly. And you'll need to recognize and fully see this behavior pattern before you'll be able to overcome it. Who judged you earlier? How do you now condemn yourself? Are you ready now to forgive your parents, others, and more particularly, are you ready to forgive yourself? Remember, you are loved by the divine simply because you are the way you are. Despite what you may believe, you can disappoint people and still be good enough. You can make mistakes and still be capable and talented. You can let people down and still be worthwhile and deserving of love. Everybody has disappointed someone they care about. Everybody messes up, lets people down, makes mistakes, not because you're inadequate or fundamentally inept, but because you're imperfect and fundamentally human. And trying to do anything different is just setting yourself up for failure. Anyway, remember that. Here's the devil. Or did I say the devil? I mean death. Well, death here rides and ultimately comes through. Now look, this is a good card for you at this time for this reason. This is talking, well, first of all, it's Mars ruling Scorpio. But this time, Mars is in its better energy. See, for me, the planets all have different energies at different times. The planet of fiery energy in its lowest form, which is necessary to provide the impulse for change. What we're talking about here is death, resurrection, transformation, becoming free of old ensnarements and external changes. There's an ending coming about here, you letting go finally of emotional attachments which don't help you. It's the end of an era or of a cycle. You are now ready to make the necessary changes in your life. Accept the pain that may come with the loss of the old. To what outdated relationships or situations are you clinging? Say to yourself, I let go of people and situations with ease and dignity. Every ending heralds the new beginning. I now say yes to death and yes to myself. Death allows the sun to come in and shine for new things to grow. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, there you go, the month of October. Wasn't that fascinating? I thought it was fascinating anyway. I think it's going to be a great month for you. Things happening, things moving forward, things cleaning out inside, making you bigger, stronger, faster, and ready to take on the world, leading up into this season to come. Now, until then, though, and until next month's reading, there's one thing I want you to remember, and remember this always, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.